God Butcher.
He left them hanging.
Who or what is that?
The God Butcher is coming.
The movie opens with a common and hungry bald man named Gore, holding his sick daughter in his lap in the sandy desert. He pleads with God Rapu to give them food and water and save their lives, as they are starving, but his prayers go unheard. Not long after, Gore's daughter succumbs to hunger and thirst, leaving Gore shattered. With a heavy heart, Gore buries his daughter, sending her to eternal sleep. Sometime later, Gore hears whispers coming from a nearby forest calling him. Without a second thought, Gore heads toward the source of the whispers. Soon, he reaches a lush forest where he finds a pond. He impatiently quenches his thirst, and, upon stepping out of the pond, finds several fruits lying on the ground. He begins devouring them, unaware that Rapu, the god of light, is resting before him. Gore introduces himself to Rapu and tells him that he is the last of his disciples. Then, he asks Rapu to grant him the eternal reward, explaining that he continued to worship him no matter what terrible conditions he faced. Upon hearing this, Rapu bursts into laughter and mocks Gore. Gore says that, "My daughter died in your name." Rapu's response destroys Gore's faith, prompting him to break his amulet hanging around his neck, renouncing Rapu. The necrosword chooses Gore and comes to his hand, allowing him to slay Rapu, the god of light. Rapu warns Gore that he is now cursed as the sword has chosen him. Gore lifts the necrosword, vowing to kill all the gods, and then chops off Rapu's head. In Asgard, Korg narrates the story of Thor, the god of thunder, to the children of Asgard. He explains that Thor was raised as a warrior and fought for those who could not fight for themselves. Thor's true love was an Earth woman named Jane Foster, a doctor. Thor endured great loss, losing not only his mother, but also his father Odin. His beloved planet, Asgard, was destroyed before his eyes, leaving him crestfallen. He later teamed up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and embarked on many adventures. Afterward, he waited in quiet contemplation for someone to call upon him. Thor joins the Guardians of the Galaxy in an ongoing battle. Soon, King Jotun arrives and tells Thor that his people used to live in a peaceful oasis, but their gods were murdered.
As you know, we used to live in a peaceful oasis.
Ragtag, motley crew.
The only thing left is their sacred temple, which is being desecrated by enemies on the other side. Thor single-handedly destroys the enemy's forces, but unknowingly demolishes the shrine in the process. On Earth, Dr. Jane Foster is suffering from stage 4 leukemia. Jane opens a book containing knowledge about Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, which can heal her and give her the strength to fight leukemia. The scene then shifts to New Asgard, where a play is being performed. Actors portray Odin, Loki, and Thor while the Asgardians watch with curiosity. King Jotun expresses his gratitude to Thor for protecting him and his people. In return, King Jotun offers Thor 2 giant goats. Aboard the ship, Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy receive a distress call from another planet. The panicked caller begs for help, saying the god Butcher has found them. Thor, Korg, and the 2 giant goats immediately teleport to the planet where Gore, the god Butcher, has wreaked havoc. Thor finds Sif, who is missing an arm. She explains that she was hunting a madman and followed him there, but it was a trap. The god Butcher seeks the extinction of the gods, and Asgard is next in line.
Hunting a madman. I followed him here, but it was a trap.
Who is this madman?
Asgard is next.
That night, Gore descends upon Asgard, finding the city calm. He pierces the necrosword into the earth, summoning shadow monsters. Axel, Heimdall's son, peers out the window and sees the monsters destroying the city. Soon, Thor, Korg, and King Valkyrie arrive and begin fighting the shadow creatures. To Thor's surprise, his hammer is fighting the shadow monsters on its own. Seconds later, the hammer drifts to Thor after smashing a monster, but then flies back to its true master, leaving Thor astonished. Thor asks Lady Thor to remove her mask and reveal herself. Lady Thor does so, revealing she is Jane Foster, Thor's girlfriend, which stuns Thor. The story flashes back to when Thor and Jane were happily living together on Earth. Thor asked his hammer to always protect Jane. As time passed, Thor became busy saving humanity, and Jane became occupied with her own work, causing distance between them. Returning to the present, Thor is still confused. Gorr appears on the battlefield, catching Thor's attention. The two engage in battle, but Gorr overpowers Thor and captures him. Gorr attempts to snatch Thor's Stormbreaker, enraging him. Upon finding himself surrounded by Thor, Valkyrie and Jane, Gorr flees the scene. Meanwhile, the shadowy creatures begin abducting children. By the time Thor and Jane could liberate the children, Gorr disappears with the kidnapped children, leaving Thor and Jane empty-handed. Thor comes to the infirmary and consoles the panicked parents of the abducted children. He asks them to stay reunited in this time of crisis. Afterward, he leaves, bringing down the ceiling of the infirmary. Thor asks Valkyrie and Jane about Gorr. Valkyrie and Jane tell him that Gorr travels through shadows and creates monsters with them. Thor explains, Gorr possesses a necrosword, an ancient weapon that has been passed through hands since the dawn of time, and it has the ability to slay gods, but it slowly corrupts and kills whoever wields it. Shortly afterward, Axel, Heimdall's son, contacts Thor using his magic eyes. Thor asks him where he is, to which Axel replies, he doesn't even know himself. Then, Thor tries to locate him using his god powers. He immediately teleports inside the spiky cage, where Gorr has kept the children captive. Thor encourages them, saying he is putting together a good team consisting of Korg, King Valkyrie and Lady Thor Jane, his ex-girlfriend, and soon they get them home. Afterward, he gets back to Asgard and tells his team that the children are captive in the Shadow Realm. Thor suggests that they need reinforcements and raise an army, so he suggests that they should visit the Omnipotent City, the home of the most powerful gods in the universe, to seek help. Thor and his team board the ship to bring back the Asgardian children. The ship is drawn by the gifted giant goats by King Jotun. Moments later, they make it to the Omnipotent City, where the most powerful gods of universe gods live. Gorr appears in the cage made of spikes, scaring the terrified children. He summons a snake called Octi and shows it to the children. The very next moment, Gorr snaps Octi's head, killing it and striking fear into children's hearts. Thor, Korg, Valkyrie, and Jane arrive in the palatial palace of Omnipotent City. Thor and the others are enthralled by the beauty of the City of Gods. They take their seats and begin chanting Zeus with other gods. Not long after, a cloud of smoke appears, indicating the arrival of Zeus, the god of lightning. Jane asks Thor to approach Zeus immediately to ask for his help, while Zeus is busy showing his feats. Valkyrie and Jane force Thor to approach Zeus, but their gossip is heard by Zeus, who orders Thor to come to the stage and speak his mind. Thor follows his command and explains to him that he arrived there to seek Zeus' help. Thor adds that there is a maniac called the God Butcher, who is determined to end all the gods. Zeus turns down his request and orders him go back to his seat, causing Thor to flip out on him. Zeus becomes furious by this behavior and ties Thor with his magical glowing ropes. However, Thor tries to convince Zeus that Gorr is way more dangerous and he has abducted Asgardian children. Then, Zeus says that it's not our problem, because every god watches over their own people. This prompts Thor to call him a coward. Miffed Zeus immediately comes downstairs, approaching Thor. He admits that he is literally afraid, because Gorr has the necrosword, which means he can kill them. Then Thor says, if you don't want to help us, give us your thunderbolt. But Zeus says no.
No!
Afterward, Zeus asks fellow gods not to be worried about Gorr, as he will not make it to eternity. This leaves everyone in a state of surprise. Explaining eternity, Valkyrie says that eternity is a very powerful being at the center of the universe. It grants the desire of the person who reaches it. Thor says that he will stop Gorr himself, but Zeus doesn't want him to leave the Omnipotent City, as it is a secret place known only to the gods. The God Butcher could use you to find us if we let you leave. Upon hearing this, Thor snaps the glowing ropes and begins ending the royal guards who move to capture Thor at Zeus' order. Soon, Jane and Valkyrie also join the battle to stand by Thor. Enraged, Zeus hurls his thunderbolt at Korg, causing his stony body to break into pieces. Thor becomes livid and catches Zeus's thunderbolt in midair. He throws it back at Zeus, killing him and avenging Korg. Thor approaches the broken Korg and finds his head still alive. Thor hands it to Valkyrie, who ties it behind her head. Then, she starts killing royal guards. Meanwhile, their ship arrives and takes them away safely. Jane approaches Thor and tells him,
I have cancer.
Jane, I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry for me.
After hearing this, Thor becomes a bit on edge. She tells him that she got to know about it 6 months ago when she began feeling exhausted. Then, she heard Mjolnir calling her. She thought the hammer could cure her, and that's why she came to New Asgard. Moments later, they all reach the Shadow Realm where the colors go off, making everything and everyone black and white. Upon descending on the dark planet, Thor and the others begin looking for the children. Jane enters a cabin only to find a drawing depicting Thor Stormbreaker opening Bifrost. She quickly rushes back, hurling the Stormbreaker back into New Asgard. Seconds later, Gorr shows up. Jane explains to Thor that Gorr needs the Stormbreaker to open the gates of eternity. Gorr captures all the 3 gods using his shadowy creatures and asks Thor to call his axe, but Thor doesn't summon his Stormbreaker. Gorr reveals to Thor that he knows Thor approached the supreme gods first to seek their help, but all of the gods refuse to help him. Afterward, he approaches Valkyrie, telling her that the gods failed her too when her sisterhood was led to slaughter. You begged God for help when your sister lay dying on the battlefield, but they didn't. Subsequently, Gorr approaches Jane, telling her she is dying. Then, he gets back to Thor and narrates his story about his supreme faith in God. Gorr adds that once he had a little sick daughter. He prayed to God to cure her, but his prayer went unheard, which led to his daughter's death. So Gorr asks Thor to choose love and call the axe, or he will kill Jane, who is already dying of cancer. Forced, Thor calls his Stormbreaker, sending a wave of lightning throughout the Dark Realm. Gorr summons his army of shadowy creatures to snatch Thor's Stormbreaker. Soon, both fall into a fierce fight, leaving no stone unturned to kill each other. Then, Valkyrie and Jane also help Thor subduing Gorr. However, Gorr gains the upper hand on the trio and stabs Valkyrie in the back with Zeus' weapon. Furious, Thor's axe emits unbearable lightning, forcing Gorr to flee. Afterward, they begin to leave with severely injured Valkyrie. In the meantime, Gorr appears, holds onto Thor's Stormbreaker, and tries to wrest it from him. Ultimately, he succeeds in taking. Thor, Jane, and wounded Valkyrie return to Asgard. Jane is hospitalized as her health condition is deteriorating. Thor asks her permission to go back to Gorr's Dark Realm to bring back the children. He tells her that he has to do it on his own because the hammer is slowly killing her every time she uses it. Afterward, he comes out and meets the injured Valkyrie, who asks Thor to do it alone as she is unable to stand by his side this time. She advises him to destroy Gorr's Necrosword because it is his source of immense power. Afterward, Thor leaves for Gorr's Dark Realm with Zeus' Thunderbolt. In his Dark Realm, Gorr prepares to open the gates of eternity using Thor's Stormbreaker. The building begins collapsing, causing the head of a statue to fall upon the scared children standing below. Just then, he gathers children and makes a plan to retrieve the Stormbreaker with them. He asks them to pick up whatever they can find lying around. Then, Thor imbues the children's weapons with his power, turning them into warriors. Afterward, this happens. Gorr overpowers Thor in the fight, and this is realized by Jane in the hospital. Gorr tries to impale the Necrosword into Thor's chest, but Thor resists, preventing it from killing him. Soon after, Gorr is struck by Jane's flying hammer, which sends him flying. Not long after, Jane descends onto the battlefield to assist Thor, risking her own life. Jane then asks Thor to stop Stormbreaker, as it almost opens the portal to eternity. Thor destroys the shadowy hands gripping the axe, managing to prevent the portal from opening completely. He throws Stormbreaker to Axel and instructs him to take the other children back to Asgard. Enraged by the loss of Stormbreaker, Gorr attacks Thor and Jane. Summoning her remaining strength, Jane hurls her hammer at Gorr's Necrosword, shattering it. The Necrosword begins to reform, forcing Jane to slam her hammer into the ground, unleashing a massive wave of lightning that completely destroys the weapon. However, this act drains all of Jane's energy, leaving her near death. Meanwhile, Gorr enters the portal and reaches eternity. Thor pleads with Gorr to reconsider making his wish. Then, Gorr replies,
What kind of father would I be if I stopped?
Thor says, "It's not death or revenge that you seek." Then, Gorr asks him what he seeks. Thor replies after seeing Jane, "You seek love." He further says to Gorr, "You won the battle. So why would I spend my last moments with you when I can be with Jane? Because I choose love. You can also choose love and bring your daughter back." After saying this, Thor near dying Jane, holding her in his lap. Gorr is swayed by Thor's words and decides to bring back his daughter using his wish. Moments later, Gorr finds his little daughter sitting near him and becomes happy. He tells her that he missed her a lot. On the other side, Jane dies in Thor's lap, pulling him apart. Gorr asks Thor to look after and protect his little daughter. Shortly afterward, Gorr dies. On Asgard, Thor becomes the foster father of Gorr's daughter and looks after her with great care. He shows her an army of aliens in the distance. Afterward, they both enter the battlefield to save the good ones, and this team of father and his little daughter comes to be known as Love and Thunder. And this is where the movie ends.